Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Chainsaw Man Chapter 102. Before I get into this week's review, as always, if you haven't already, you should be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any future Chainsaw Man videos. I'd like to try and hit at least 100 likes on this week's review. Now then, there are quite a few things to discuss this week. The first few of which are not really anything to do with the chapter itself. It's more so the things surrounding the chapter. Obviously there was a break last week, and apparently Fujimoto's going to be on break again next week. Let me just say, after the quality and quantity that we got in this week's chapter, I don't want to hear a single person bitch and moan about us going on breaks. The switch to Jump Plus, among various benefits, gives Fujimoto a lot more freedom in terms of his schedule. One of the biggest problems with weekly manga authors is they work themselves to death, almost literally in many cases. So having a little bit more leniency, a little bit more flexibility in terms of how they go about doing their work is pretty much always a good thing. It pretty much always leads to the series being of higher quality. And we're already seeing that here. So I don't want to hear anyone complaining about the breaks, because my god was this chapter really fucking good. Holy shit. It was amazing. Next thing, all of those people, I know there wasn't too many, there was some. It was a small subset of people that were peddling this stupid theory that Yuko was Denji in disguise. I don't even know how exactly they thought that was going to work, but whoever came up with that theory, and whoever believed in that theory, you are very stupid. And this chapter proves that. Now getting into the actual chapter itself, I would say there are two important things to discuss. The duality we see in this chapter between our two seeming protagonists. One of them is our actual protagonist, and then the other one is someone who's kind of been filling the role of protagonist for the past several chapters. We'll start off with the latter because they get the first half of the chapter, and that's Mitaka, our new girl, the War Devil. Now, we've had a lot of questions and theories as to what exactly Mitaka is. Is she a fiend, a hybrid, something in between? And someone on Twitter, actually I think it was someone on Reddit, but I saw it on Twitter, pointed out that all the way back in Chapter 1 of Chainsaw Man, Makima makes reference to humans that are possessed by devils, and that when that is the case, you can see it in their face. Originally, I had thought that had been in reference to fiends, because it seems like, for the most part, fiends have something going on with their head that distinguishes them from humans or hybrids. But it seems we never really actually saw a devil possession at any point in the series prior to Part 2 starting, in which case it seems like Mitaka is the first, because whenever War takes over, her face changes and reflects the devil possession. Mitaka is faced with a choice at the start of this chapter. Either run and save herself, or try and save Yuko. But it's a little more than just run and save herself. War tells her, oh yeah, Yuko's fucked, like her leg is wounded, she's unconscious, she's not going to be able to run. If you try and carry her with you, she's going to weigh you down and we're going to die. So kill Yuko to use as a weapon, and then I can absolutely fucking low diff the Bat Devil. Because, you know, Bat Devil's low tier. He's shit, he's garbage. Some people are scared of bats, I guess, but most people aren't. In fact, there are quite a few people who think bats are cute. Not really Bat Devil. He's a little more on the ugly side, but I digress. And ultimately, she makes the choice to try and save Yuko, because Yuko is her friend. Yuko is pretty much the first person ever that has tried to befriend her and be nice to her. So, of course, she's going to try and save her. She's not a fucking psychopath. But she ends up tripping while trying to save her, and this causes her to reflect on all of the important moments in her life where she has tripped and fucked up. You know, she tripped and she knocked someone's birthday cake off the table. She tripped and failed at the relay race. She tripped and fell on Bucky. She tripped when, like, saving a cat during an attack from the Typhoon Devil, and her mom got killed saving her. This was a bit of a reminder, this chapter, that yes, indeed, apparently Mitaka's parents died during a devil attack. I believe that was established back during chapter 98. So we see that here. And the thing about it is that it's, in Mitaka's mind, her fault. And it kind of technically is. Because if she hadn't gone to try and save the cat, whose leg was injured, her mom wouldn't have had to sacrifice herself to save her. Once again, we get more of this interesting dynamic here, this sort of inversion between Denji and Mitaka, where Denji had murdered his dad because his dad was an abusive piece of shit that was probably going to kill him, whereas Mitaka's mom died saving her, and it was kind of Mitaka's fault that it happened. One of them took their parent's life, while this parent gave up their life for her. It's an interesting dynamic, and as you would imagine, Mitaka is racked with guilt because of this. And it's just something that clearly bothers her a lot all the time. But the kind of resolution we get to this, the motivation that Mitaka gets to keep on going forward, is words from Yuko. When Mitaka says, "Listen, I don't want your shoes, I don't want to be friends with you, I'm not interested," Yuko says, "I don't care. I don't give a shit. My heart's in the right place. I'm gonna do this because I think it's the right thing to do. Whatever ends up happening doesn't matter to me because I meant well when I did it. My heart was in the right place." And this is what ultimately motivates Mitaka to keep moving forward. Yes, these bad things have happened when I've tried to do things that are good, and they aren't things that I intended to happen. But I was trying to do the right thing, and I shouldn't feel bad that bad things pretty much out of my control happen because I tried to do what I thought was right, and I tried to help people. And that's really interesting. That's a good motivation for her character. I like it a lot. She is clearly someone that is trying to find her way through the world and stuff. This is the start of her character arc, and it's going to be interesting to see how she develops throughout however much longer she's going to be in the story. I think she is going to become our deuteragonist, probably. Or maybe a rival character. I could see her being either of those things, really. The inversion with Denji probably makes her a good rival character, especially given that War actively wants to kill him. So, yeah. Speaking of Denji, Mitaka and Yuko end up getting swallowed by the Bat Devil, and are then rescued when the Bat Devil gets completely crushed as collateral damage in a battle between the Cockroach Devil and Chainsaw Man. That is right. The man with the chainsaws has returned. In hindsight, it hasn't really been too long since Denji showed up. It's only, 5 chapters into part 2? So not like a huge amount of time in the grand scheme of things. But for us, we've waited 1.5 years for part 2 to start, and then I've been reading the chapters week to week. For us, it's been an eternity since the titular main character has appeared in his own series. And it's just really good to see him again. It's so nice. And what a return it is. This whole second half of the chapter is almost entirely action. Like, I would say the first half or so with Mitaka is a lot of internal monologue. A lot of it is imagery, but it's not so much... It's not like battle action. It's more just things that have happened in Mitaka's past. things that don't really need words. And then the second half of the chapter is almost entirely things that don't need words, but that's because it's action of Denji fighting a big, really fucking cool-looking devil, and absolutely kicking the shit out of it. The art for this is great. We got a bunch of spreads and stuff that just look so good. You can really tell that Fujimoto got like a whole extra week to do this chapter, outside of the fact that it's 48 pages, which is a lot. I'm wondering if we're going to get another long chapter after the break as well. Because if Fujimoto is strategically taking breaks so that he can produce longer chapters so we don't have to wait, that's really good. Because honestly, I don't think the second half of this chapter would have been as good if we had to wait a week for it. Just because there's not much outside of the action. This works really, really well because you are getting the dynamic between Mitaka and Denji in the same chapter. And we don't have to worry about the 20-page chapter limitations that we usually get in a Shonen Jump chapter, in a weekly Shonen Jump chapter. So we are witnessing the benefits of Jump Plus in real time. People with no patience are going to be upset when we have to wait 2 weeks for the next chapter. But once again, to them I would say, look at how good this chapter was. Look at the quality we have here, and the number of pages we have for this quality. Stop complaining, because there's a pretty decent chance that we're going to get something of similar quality next week. Hopefully, we're going to focus a little bit more on Denji. It would probably be a little weird to introduce him in the latter half of a chapter after not seeing him for the previous few chapters, only to then go back to not really focusing on him at all. I could maybe see if Denji is not the main focus of the chapter, we're not following him around directly, I could see us following around Mitaka, but like a whole bunch of Chainsaw Man shit is going on around here. Like, he's all in the news, you got people talking about him, you got him selling merchandise of him, something like that. But Denji, the Chainsaw Man, has made his return as an active presence in the series, and that's great. The display for the dynamic between him and Mitaka this chapter is the Cockroach Devil taking a teenager and a car full of old people hostage and saying, "Hey, Spider-Man, who will you choose to save?" And he drops both of them. And obviously, being the superhero that he's trying to be, Denji's going to have to make a difficult choice. Who does he save? These helpless old grannies or this young teenager who has an entire bright future ahead of him? And what does Denji choose to do? He chooses to just keep fighting the Cockroach Devil and kill him. Fuck those people. If we're being really real here, if he did go and save those people, the Cockroach Devil could have probably gone and killed a bunch of other people in like the few minutes, like a minute or so, that it would take Denji to save those people. So probably ended up saving more people in the long run. Also, the Cockroach Devil didn't notice that there was a cat hanging off of the building that they were fighting right next to. Denji wanted to save that cat. And the difference between Denji saving this cat and Mitaka saving this cat is Mitaka had regrets about saving the cat. She thought that because she had done that, her mom died, and she didn't really think it was the right thing to do. Denji, on the other hand, is like, fuck these people. I'm gonna let them die. I'm gonna save this cat. Of course I'm gonna save this cat. By the way, someone in the comments on the last video pointed out that in Chapter 5 of Part 1, Denji had questioned Powers like, why the fuck would you go through all of this stuff to try and save a cat? It's just a cat. And then in Chapter 5 of Chainsaw Man Part 2, we've got Denji literally letting innocent civilians die to save a cat. You love to see it. And let's be really real here, folks. If this were a movie or something, you would probably be very happy about the main character choosing to save the cat. Everyone always feels bad when the animals die, especially cats and dogs, because we love them way more than our average human. These are random people we've never met before. I obviously care more about a random cat than I do about some random human character. That goes without saying. So, yeah. All in all, great chapter this week. Very excited to see what we'll be getting more of in the next chapter. I'm not sure if this ends off Volume 12 or if it starts off Volume 13. I'm sure someone doing the page counts would be able to inform me on that. But yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Chainsaw Man chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoy discussing Chainsaw Man with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.